Good morning, I'm Brother Jason. This is the Baptist Catechism. Question 84 asks us, what is forbidden in the ninth commandment? The ninth commandment being, thou shalt not bear false witness. What's forbidden in that? The answer, the ninth commandment forbids whatever dishonors truth or injures our own or our neighbor's good name. So we want to avoid certain things that are going to injure the reputation and name of ourselves or others. So sometimes we may have to put constraints on what we do, or some boundaries, so that we steer clear of all of those things. Let's take a look at some examples from the scripture here, some verses from the Bible that kind of explain that a little bit. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25. Therefore, laying aside falsehood, speak truth each of you with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be angry, do not sin. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Do not give the devil an opportunity. So within the church, we should pay attention to how we treat one another and how we speak of one another. Let's lay aside falsehood. I've seen many churches destroyed because people met in secret behind the back of a pastor that they called to serve them, and just destroyed the pastor because they didn't like him, or he wasn't like the former pastor. And so that's a problem. It does happen in various places. It doesn't just start with a pastor. It begins with other people, maybe somebody in a position of power or influence or authority, or somewhere that somebody wants, and people start to speak lies about him. From another aspect, we're members of one another, just as members of the human race. So because of that, we're all made in God's image, and we should look at our neighbors and see, you know what? They're part of the nation that we live in, the area that we live in, the neighborhood that we live in. So let's speak truth, each of us, with our neighbors. Speak truth to the people around us. Lay aside falsehood. Just take that out and speak truth. Don't be subversive, trying to undercut somebody just by your words. Speak truth. What you're trying to do there is protect your own reputation, your own name, and you're speaking truth to the other people. You're protecting their reputation and their name. So look out for the good of others in that. Psalm 15, verse 1. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? He who walks with integrity and works righteousness and speaks truth in his heart. So the psalmist here, David likely, was writing about this. Who can go to the tabernacle of the Lord? The temple wasn't built yet. Who can go up to the tabernacle of the Lord and dwell there and stay there? David says the person who walks with integrity, the person who works righteousness, the one who speaks truth in his heart. See, if you went and you had outstanding sin, then you had sacrifices and offerings to make. But if you had no sacrifices and offerings to make because your heart was in the right place and you were living righteously and you were speaking truth, then you wouldn't have any sin to confess, and you could go and dwell with the Lord. In fact, this begs a question. There are many people who don't go to church simply because they know they feel guilty of sin, and they feel like if they were to go to church, then they would be looked down upon, convicted, and spoken against because of that outstanding sin. So here's a better way. Why don't we just confess it? Why don't we ask for forgiveness? Why don't we seek to do right? This is what we should encourage among others, so that people can feel comfortable being in the presence of the Lord, or being where they feel like the Lord might be. God forgives sin. That's a better way. But here's the principle. Walk with integrity, work righteousness, and speak truth. Simple. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the core of the 10 Commandments. If you do that, you'll fulfill them all. And you won't worry about trying to speak truth or lies to somebody else. You'll just be speaking truth. Your word is truth, and you don't have to worry about the lies that you were once telling. So, speak truth. Walk with integrity. Work righteousness. One more verse here. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses, let's see here, 20, but with explanation. Taking precaution so that no one will discredit us in our administration of this generous gift. For we have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. Paul had gone to Corinth and some other places collecting an offering, very generous offering from some churches, and they were going to bring it back to Jerusalem to distribute among those who were suffering through a very difficult time. It was necessary for them to bring others along with them so that their reputation in dispersing and carrying this gift was protected. They brought along Titus, Titus came with him. He was a very honorable man, and he traveled with them. The churches appointed them to travel with the Apostle Paul and others who were with him. In that gracious work, he was ready to do it. He was willing to do it. It was a great precaution so that no one would discredit Paul and the others with him in their administration of that generous gift. Anytime money is involved, you definitely need to have some witnesses. You definitely need to have some righteous people, and you need people who are going to make sure that things are done right. Paul said, hey, look, it's a good thing that Titus came along with it because we didn't want to be discredited. It's good sometimes when there's a possibility that you could be discredited, that you bring a third party in to, be with you in that, but also to verify what's going on and how things are taking place. We have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. This passage right here is really the core of what's called the Billy Graham rule. Billy Graham would not be alone with a woman in a room or an elevator or anywhere else. He always had somebody else with him. And he did this because he was trying to show regard for what was honorable. People look at that and go, whatever. But Billy Graham understood, hey, sometimes you need somebody else to protect the honor of others and yourself. So that's what he did right there. What is forbidden in the 9th commandment? The 9th commandment forbids whatever dishonors truth or injures our own or our neighbor's good name.